What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what shorts are up to and what some analysts are kind of estimating for their upcoming Q2 earnings, which right now is turning a little bit bearish. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, SoFi is going down slightly, 0.54%. A lot of volatility. So you do have 764 the high and 733 the low. And a lot of good volume. So 27.8 million shares being traded today, 36.2 is the average. You do see first thing, a lot of buying. So no doubtably that is market makers covering those in the money options from last week. So this is why I always say come Monday, as soon as the market does open, this is why you do see a lot of good buying at that stage. But beside the point, then you just had, unfortunately, just the market and some institutions starting to sell. So again, something to keep in mind. I'm going to go over what is happening on the secondary market and everything else. But as of right now, even just looking at my watch list, everything is running very green today, which is unfortunate for SoFi because it's kind of getting grouped in with stocks that are just overdone based on its own technicals or broken stocks. So it's just a very unfortunate scenario. But as of right now, these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So this is the buying first thing. Then you started to see some selling that kind of brought it down a little bit. But needless to say, you do see a lot of transactions occurring on the secondary market, which is pretty good if you ask me. Also, right now, shorts are returning 1.41 million shares. And this is why I like to analyze this information, because by shorts returning with SoFi being red today kind of shows that it's unjustified. So again, that's kind of a good thing. You see a lot of people on social media immediately jumping to the conclusion that it's shorts that is bringing any stock down. That's actually not the case today. So in reality, it's just institutions selling and algorithmic trading for the most part. So it's not necessarily shorts today. Definitely those shorts have been a pain because 17.16% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 178.2 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 0.67, a little bit lower than Friday. And you do see finally this changing. So basically all the way up until I think it was Thursday, cost to borrow minimum was negative, meaning there was a broker out there physically paying people to short SoFi to try to clearly drum up business or whatever else. But that didn't really help all that much. Friday shorts increased a small amount, but overall shorts have been returning quite a lot. So I think there's a lot of high expectations for SoFi's upcoming Q2 earnings, with the exception of a couple analysts, clearly. So when it comes down to it, I'll quickly pop over to 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗧 and give you a quick overview. While I'm here, there's been no recent analyst ratings. The last one was done about 5 days ago, and then 12 and whatever else. So as of right now, it's been relatively quiet on that front. But I've been monitoring this. And like I said, I'll do a dedicated video closer to SoFi's earnings just on some expectations. So there hasn't been any change for the earnings per share estimates, but rather revenue. So last video I did bring up how some analysts were turning a little bit more bullish on SoFi. And so what I mean by that is you can kind of see the consensus 4 weeks ago and then the current actual. So obviously this is how you can tell if analysts are bullish or bearish by the average changing either higher or lower. So my last update, it went from 566 million to 578. You can always refer back to that video, but yeah, analysts were becoming a little bit more optimistic. But as of late, it went from 566 to 564. So quite the big change. So when it comes down to it, either analysts have started to estimate a little bit lower, or either that new rating that did come in, because it went from 11 analysts to 12, that one was extremely bearish. So there's two ways how to see this. Depends on your stance a little bit, but in general, one is that analysts are becoming a little bit more bearish on SoFi, which isn't necessarily the most optimistic thing. Or part two is that by analysts kind of lowering their expectations and assuming SoFi is going to hit another home run earnings, then this is where, in theory, SoFi could have a little bit more of a positive surprise, a larger beat, if that makes sense. So making their earnings look a little bit better than what previously was. So there's two different ways how to see this. So analysts are becoming a little bit more bearish, but overall, assuming SoFi does hit home run earnings, could really stand to benefit. So stay tuned for that video closer to SoFi's earnings. So I just wanted to quickly bring that up. Aside from that though, looking at options, $4.56 million in calls, 2.54 million in puts. Sentiment wise though, 44% of all the options being done are bearish, and looks like more oriented around that $7 to $8 strike prices. So again, as I've stated in the past, if you guys haven't learned options yet, I highly recommend you guys doing it because it can be very beneficial in either direction, either bullish or bearish. Of the call options that are being purchased right now, you do see a consensus for it to be in excess of 850. And this is why I do know it's not shorts hedging, because typically shorts like to hedge with the closest strike price. So that's 750 right here. So a lot of this volume done today is probably shorts, in my opinion. Some retail obviously is grouped in there, but majority is going to be shorts just hedging. All of this right here above that is true optimism. So this is why I like to look at this information. So it goes to show behind the scenes that there is a lot of bullish individuals, and most of the time that is large entities. So again, something to kind of keep in mind. And right now, looking at the open interest though for this upcoming Friday strike price, expiry date of July 26th, 9,000 at that 7, 27,000 at the 750, 43,000 at the 8, and 36,000 at the 850. So kind of just take note of some of these. Obviously around that 750 above will be kind of strong resistance levels, but again, just something to keep in mind. Hopefully FOMO kicks in and none of this is a concern and it just blows past 850, but we'll just have to wait and see. Right now with it at 745, it is trading between this R1 and R2. So as I've been saying for this greater part of the last week, 750 is a key pivot for SoFi. $7.21 is going to be the strong support. Hasn't been touched for I think the greater part of last week as well. So again, it hasn't really been tested. We'll just have to wait and see. But again, assuming everything goes according to plan and it does break above this 750, it could easily go back to this 8. So it's just a matter of a nice little push. And right now, like I said, the market isn't really seeing SoFi in a favorable manner, unfortunately. So moving on though, looking on the actual chart, is still is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, still above a lot of the key pivotal moving averages. Stochastic, you do see it at roughly around 70, so still somewhat overbought-ish, assuming it does continue to consolidate to maybe around that 720 range. This is where you'll see Stochastic reset itself. You do see a number of retail investors getting in today, but overall, ever since this peak around the 17th, they were getting out. So still something to keep in mind. I think no matter what though, a lot of the data points, even though it is red today, are still very bullish. It's just a lot of manipulation all in all. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi in the comments below. Do you think that SoFi is going to close above 8 by this Friday? Or do you think manipulation is going to push it down sub, let's say, 450 or 750 or 7? Clearly, I'm thinking about multiple different stocks right now. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.